G'day legends, I hope you're all amazing. We're going to be checking out the new 2Notes Captor X Plus. This takes the very popular Captor X load box and adds some very nice new features, including an overhaul of the Torpedo Remote software. This also comes bundled with a free lifetime license for 2Notes' excellent GENOME software. If you're unfamiliar with the original Captor or the Captor X, these are load boxes, so they are designed to be able to take the output of a real tube amp like this Cherrytone Molecular I'm going to be using throughout the video and load it down to a safe level so that you can process it with your digital audio workstation. You can run it to studio monitors or stage monitors. You can record silently. You can listen to this with headphones. You can also use this in conjunction with a real cabinet. You can still have your live cabinet happening, but you can use this to process your guitar sound with a virtual cabinet tone. You can use it as an attenuator. You can use it in a wet, dry, wet setup. There are so many different ways to integrate a load box into your setup. It's very much become an essential modern tool, but I want to take a look at a couple of the new features in the Captor X Plus and take a look at what they've done different to the Captor X. In particular, how they have added new features like the virtual load shaper, which I'm going to be really excited to check out, and the new true stereo DynIRs. I'm going to put timestamps in the video description because there's going to be a lot going on in this video. I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the Torpedo Remote software. I want to check out a bunch of the features and try to demonstrate what they do clearly, or as clearly as I possibly can. I just want to say a massive thank you to 2Notes, and in particular Ross at 2Notes, for making this video happen. Let's dive straight in. I've got a Fender American Ultra 2 Telecaster plugged straight into my Cherrytone Molecular. I've set the master volume on the Molecular around 1 o'clock, which is very close to its sweet spot. You start to get a little bit of power amp saturation and the whole sound just kind of fills out and warms up. Now, through a real cabinet in a room, that would be crushingly loud, but I'm taking the speaker output of the Molecular into the input of the Captor X Plus, and it's going to let me record this at any level I like. The XLR outputs of the Captor X Plus are running out into my audio interface. I'm not applying any post-processing to the guitars in my DAW for this video. Any effects or EQ that you hear are going to be coming from the Captor X Plus, and we can see what we're doing with the Torpedo Remote software on the screen at the moment. This has had a pretty big visual overhaul, and I'm definitely a fan of the way this looks now. It's a lot more modern and sleek, really brings it into line with 2Notes GENOME software. You've also got some new options for blending the DynIRs. 2Notes are calling this the true stereo DynIRs now. And if you've ever used the Torpedo Remote software before, this still has a familiar layout. You've got your IR loader section, your cabinet manager, your preset manager, and your IR manager over here. You can see that you've got instant access to all of the presets that are stored on the unit. You can get the first 6 using the preset knob on the unit, but you can recall any of these with MIDI. The Captor X Plus ships with 32 virtual cabinets preloaded on there for you to use. So there's plenty of options in here. What we're gonna do is just dial in a tone from scratch on here. I'm using this Headfirst 4x12 Origin Cream 65 DynIR cab pack. I got this with the Headfirst Alta preamp, which has the embedded 2Notes technology. If you want to check that video out, I'll link it in the video description. But here, I'm going to start out with a single mic, and you can see the mic selection down here. There's a dynamic 421 and bass 20, a condenser 87, ribbon 121 and 160, a dynamic 57, a condenser 414, and a dynamic 7B. Let's just roll with the 421. Now I can use these axis and distance controls to move this around in virtual space, or I can just click over here and grab the mic to do that. So let's set those to 0. I'm just gonna bash a few chords out on this, and I'm gonna try to find the sweet spot for this dynamic 421 with this guitar and amp setup. I dig that. I want to go for something slightly brighter there because I want to blend it with a darker mic on there. So we're going to bring in the second cabinet over here. I'm going to select the Ribbon 121. I've set the level on this one slightly lower, but again, we can play around with the axis and distance controls over here. Let's just see how that affects the overall tone. Let's roll with that combination for now. What I like is you can now pan these microphones independently of one another. So if I wanted to add a little bit of stereo width, I could say take that 121 and pan it out about 20% to the right. I'll do a similar amount to the left with the Dynamic 421. Let's have a listen to this. Make sure you're listening in stereo. Balance out the individual levels of each mic over here, and then I can control the overall output level using this master fader. I can also use the voicing control to fine tune the overall character. This is quite a broad strokes style control. If I use it on the physical unit down here, you can see that's mirrored in the software. Sort of going counterclockwise is going to make it more mid-heavy, and going clockwise is going to scoop it out a little bit. Engage the mic EQ over here. You can see I'm giving mic A just a little bit of a low cut on there. Mic B, I'm going a bit harder with the low cut. I might add a little bit of high end to mic B on there. Let's add, say, a 4 dB shelf at 3K. And then on mic A, I might actually just take out a little bit of high end on there around 6K. So let's have a listen to the difference between that. I've got the independent mic EQ on each of them now, and each microphone is panned about 50% left and 50% right. It's essentially tidying everything up there. It's quite subtle, but that's similar to what I would do to guitar tones if I was recording a mic'd up cab. Next, we can add the enhancer, the reverb, and the twin tracker on here. Let's just use a subtle amount of the enhancer. I've just given it a bit of thickness, slightly less body, and brilliance on there. There's a guitar and a bass mode on there, and you can blend it in to taste. I've just set it, I think, around 20%, so we'll check that one out. Let's try out the twin tracker. This one works really well at the stock settings, just to give you that stereo extra wide double tone on there. We'll hear it without and then with. There's also a bunch of built-in reverbs over here. I really like the plate in here, but you've got everything from studio to hall, special effect reverbs like springs and cathedrals, and a custom mode on there. Let's just have a listen to the plate. I like to bring the size and the echo down a little bit and just bring the overall dry-wet mix down. Just a little bit of plate reverb is always nice on there. The feature I've been most curious to check out on the Captor X Plus is the virtual load shaper. You can see its controls down in the bottom left. Now, this is only going to affect the signal that's coming out of the Captor X XLR outputs. If you were using a rig, say where you're taking the guitar amp into the Captor X Plus and then onwards into a real cabinet, it's not going to affect the sound coming out of the real cabinet. You still get that guitar amp and speaker cab interaction, but it can let you fine tune the response and the tone of the actual outputs from the load box. Now, what I want to do is start out with just the Captor X virtual load shaper. So this is going to leave the impedance curve of the Captor intact. And one thing Two Notes have done with their new Reload 2 is they've gone and redesigned the actual load. It's a lot closer to a real speaker cabinet, whereas say the old Captor X isn't quite as close. So we'll hear that, and then we'll flick through some of the different presets on here. And you can see from the little graphic on there what's going to be happening at different points of the spectrum on there. The idea is that a real speaker cabinet has a low resonant frequency and then generally some kind of high resonant frequency on there that is going to interact with the real amplifier. So depending on the way your amp is designed, how much negative feedback it has, it's going to be affected by the load in different ways. We'll start out with the flat load on there, and then we'll go through a couple of different options. Much like changing a real load, whether it's a load box or a different speaker cabinet, you can clearly hear the difference in the response on there. I think they've done a pretty good job with that. You can also customize it. So if I hit custom mode, you can see I can control the low resonance and what they're calling the presence as well. So if I wanted this to have a bit more sizzle on there, so I could add a bit of gain there. I could move the resonant frequency down a little bit, widen the Q or narrow the Q on there, and then bring up the overall gain on it too. Let's have a listen to this custom mode. I want to show you the new dual mono routing mode with one particular use case in mind. If you were playing your amp live with the Captor X Plus and you wanted to send a totally dry signal to front of house with just the cab IR processing the amp and guitar, but you wanted to send an affected wet signal to your personal monitor or to your in-ears, this is how we would do it. We'd come down here and instead of having stereo, we'd click that and we get the dual mono option. This now lets you have a separate set of effects on the left and right channel. And I'm going to load the same IR into each channel. So you can see A and B are the LTTV Mix 7 cab IR. I can turn the mic EQ and enhancer on for each of these. But for mic A, I'm going to have 0% reverb mix. I'm not going to have any EQ, and I'm going to have a 0% enhancer mix as well. So we turn that all the way down. We'll turn the reverb all the way down. I can come through here, and if I double click on them in the right spot, these will all be leveled out. So there's no EQ on mic A. I could adjust the individual level of that one over here using the left channel. But if I go to mic B and I go to output right for the reverb, I can crank up the reverb mix. I can add some enhancer on here. You can see I've got a bit of a low cut. I've got a bit of a mid boost over here, and I'm taking out a little bit of low end. Actually, no, not low end, high end over there. It is a low pass. I always get those confused. But moving on, what I'm going to do is just record the output of this, and I'll toggle between just that dry left channel and the wet right channel. These are going to be panned right down the middle though, so you'll hear them the way you would hear one out of your personal monitor, and the other would be like the front of house. In this dual mono setup, you can have the space control either control the overall reverb mix, that's the dry wet setting over here, or just the left channel reverb, or just the right channel reverb over there. And you can save these on a per preset basis. So for example, you could have the first couple of presets on your unit be your glorious stereo tones on there, where you've got different mics blended on your cabinet, panned in real space with the twin tracker, super wet reverbs, and then go over to a different preset, say for a different gig or a different setup that you're playing with, where you can have the dual mono routing. So it's a lot more flexible in that setup. I think the software overhaul has been a long time coming as well, and I really like that you've got something pretty immediate on here that looks really good and also looks very similar to GENOME if you've been using it, but you've got the ability to dive quite deep on here and really customize this for different rigs and different gigs. Hopefully that gives you a few ideas of what you can do with the Captor X Plus, as well as the overhauled Torpedo Remote software. A massive thank you to Ross and the team at 2Notes for making this video happen. I'll pop a link to their website in the video description if you'd like to learn more. One of the best things about this is you get a free lifetime license for 2Notes GENOME software, which you can use as a standalone plugin. You can load DynIR cabs in there. You can load NAM captures. There's a bunch of effects in there. Or you could run it the way I'm going to run it for this part where I play you all out is guitar into your favorite amp. I'm using the molecular with one of the clipping modes on now, so there's a lot of gain. Into the Captor X Plus, I've turned off the cabinet processing in the Captor X Plus, and I'm going into GENOME, where I've got this Big Hairy Guitars Alien cab loaded up, 2 mics blended in there, a bit of guitar EQ, an exciter, a stereo chorus, a ping pong delay, and a studio reverb. This sounds so wet and greasy, and it's so inspiring to play with. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, links to support me directly in the video description. Otherwise, go and grab your guitars, make some glorious guitar noises, and I'll see you on the next one.